Standing at a podium once again, Scrizel is joined by a human who is currently speaking with them, as many other species excitedly pile into the large circular conference room. A whole new section has been made, housing a small number of humans who are staring in wonder at all the different species around them, including a few recognizable species from old movies and even comic books. Soon the entire room's lights dim, and the chatter dies down as Scrizel speaks up to everyone. Hello once again to the esteemed gathered species of the galaxy. Today is a very special day indeed. It is as I spoke 6 stellar cycles ago. Humans have discovered us and made first contact. They have some information to clarify. So, as they have told me, please feel free to ask whatever questions you have, but please keep the questions appropriate for this council chamber. Scrizel moves aside and takes a seat nearby as a human walks up to the podium and takes a calming breath. Greetings to you all from the human race. My name is Matthias. I have been asked to represent the human race in this meeting, and I'm happy to answer any appropriate questions you all may have about the human race. Confusing or contradictory information will also be corrected, so don't worry if you get something wrong. Now, first question. The cute owl woman. Your species is known as Oi Lynx, correct? Matthias speaks as the owl woman nods her head and responds. That is correct, Chancellor Matthias. My name is Oiksnail. When translated to human speech, it is pronounced octane. You may refer to me as that. My question is about your world and its drinks. Your species is able to drink things that have been fermenting for months. Is this true? Octane speaks as she tries to keep the feathers around her neck and cheeks from fluffing up at the compliment from the human. Fermented fruits. You mean alcohol, right? Yes, we can drink them. It takes a special process of ensuring mashed or blended fruits or starches are combined with sugars and yeasts, which are left alone to ferment after boiling them together. The human liver has adapted to work in conjunction with the kidneys to filter poisonous substances from our blood. Though we have to be careful because if we drink too much alcohol, it can lead to our livers failing and killing us. I believe the lethal dose is considered to be based on LD50, which is the lethal dose to kill half the population, and that's believed to be 0.40%, but that also varies based on a person's weight. The more weight a person has, the more blood, and the longer the travel and filter time. So the more a person weighs, the more they can drink, Matthias explains as most species amend some data. Fascinating. I asked because as an avian-based species we cannot handle yeast at all, like in your drink called beer, as it could lead to our stomachs inflating and killing us, Octane says as she sees Matthias still looking at her. All right, you there. The brown male Haloon. What is your name and question? Matthias asks as he notes the uncanny resemblance to the video game species of Minecraft. My name is Scrizel. Yes, we are the Haloon. We have a question about your dietary needs. What do humans subsist on? Scrizel asks as Matthias thinks of a way to explain it. Well, we of the human race are omnivores. With the help of Scrizel, we learned of other species such as the Guzvaldi who also share a similar diet. We eat anything from roots, starches, grains, legumes, vegetables, fruits, and lots of meat. We have entire industries dedicated to the safe and humane treatment of animals we raise for food. Not a lot of industries ignore the laws we have, but the less scrupulous ones do slip through the cracks. We eat poultry, pork, beef, venison, and many aquatic shellfish and other sea life. As you can see here, Matthias shows images of the many different industries and farms that provide food and livestock. A lot of species see truly less evolved counterparts to themselves being eaten, the Haloon included, as they get a bit scared. Forgive me if I offend you or other humans, but do you plan on including some of the species on the council as part of the menu? Scrizel asks as sweat runs down his neck, making Matthias animatedly shake his head in denial. No, that is not going to happen. We eat the lesser-minded versions of yourselves only. They have sentience, sure. That means that they have basic needs and thoughts of filling those needs. But the needs they have, which their sentience makes them go for, are simply need food, need water, need to poop, run from danger, have sex. They are literally unable to think beyond genetically driven instincts and have no concept beyond those instincts. It is sapience, which is considered awareness of self that consciousness gives us, where we draw the line. Any being capable of actual communication between itself and another party, with a full range of thoughts beyond instinct such as yourselves, which can openly give proper thought and consent, are considered sapient and thus ineligible for eating. It is more a moral choice than an actual rule, but nearly all society follows consensus on majority moral decisions, Matthias says as Shkrival nods, happy with that information, as at least 300 species feel relieved at his word. Hey, I have a question, Squishy. The name's Nika. I'm a Dix-Clixian. Can I go since none of these pansies will ask the real juicy ones? The near 7 tall anthropomorphized shark woman asks as she adjusts the water container around the gills on her neck. Ask away, Nika. I'm happy to answer anything, Matthias says as Nika smirks and brings up a diagram from a website showing artistic depictions of anthropomorphic sharks. Are there really human beings on your world who actually wish to mate with the other species of the Council, such as mine? The art pieces and 3D rendered models your people made on these various sites are surprisingly accurate for never having met any alien race before. Honestly, when I sent word to my leaders and homeworld about your race and the info on this want of that portion of your race, quite literally every Science Cast member, and even a few portions of the Warrior Cast wished to experiment with the possibility of mating. Myself included, by the way. Nika licks her lips, staring down at Matthias, the 6 tall human, with a lustful gaze. You mean the furry and scaly communities, right? Oh, absolutely. It's a bit of a funny thing, actually, but even early humans had depictions of anthropomorphized animals being deities for war, love, lust, fertility, and creation, which has persisted for literally a full 1,000,000 years in our genetics. And it as a concept evolved as we humans evolved. From early carvings to cave paintings to cartoon shows where we make more humanoid shapes for animals, since they were far more memorable designs than simple human designs. As an example, let's take the 1990s movie Space Jam and the Looney Tunes character Lola Bunny. She is a species of rabbit that is orange and light cream-colored, with blue eyes, long floppy rabbit ears, and the iconic bunny cheeks and teeth, but has been given human features such as long legs, a curvy heart-shaped backside, a slim waist, a lithe torso, and slender arms with a very distinctive, attractive face. That design is a far more memorable thing to recall than simple human faces, since human faces can't really be made too unique, or they fall into what is called the uncanny valley. Also, sure, they can have freckles or tanned skin or a strange hair color, but ultimately it's still a dull, boring human for a cartoon design. As such, entire generations of children grew up watching cartoons of anthropomorphized animals, both male and female anthros, mind you. And well, kids often get crushes on things they find cute or relatively attractive. That innocent attraction, if not outgrown, can soon blossom into what is known as a sexual attraction to said fictional character or the entire concept of anthropomorphized animals as a whole, which can be classified as a kink or fetish. A staggering amount of the human population can be considered one of these furries or scalies, since a lot of them never outgrew the crushes they had and felt deep, long-lasting, and meaningful connections with those characters and even went as far as to envision themselves as being one of those species. Matthias happily answers, a bit embarrassed on the subject as Nika's smirk grows more, and she leans forward asking with a slight jeering and playful tone. Are you one of the humans in the population who find species like mine attractive? Are you, as you said, a furry or a scaly, Matthias? Nika asks as her tail begins swaying in interest. Myself, yes, I fall into both of those categories, but I also have very strict rules to follow, as do the other humans in this chamber. So sadly, as of right now, humans are banned from interacting in any way that is considered sexual with any of the gathered species of the galaxy. That is mostly for us to actually get ourselves situated into our newly discovered surroundings and gain what little foothold we can for ourselves as we join the galaxy at large in full. So while yes, many of the human species would very much enjoy a quick rendezvous with the other species of the galaxy who would allow it, it is currently off the table, Matthias says, as that information takes the wind out of Nika's sails, and she huffs, agitated, before crossing her arms and sitting back down. Scrizel actually stands up and walks over to the podium to try and get the council back on track. But before he could, another species raises its hand, gaining Matthias's attention. It is actually a Kanyanx, a small flightless bird-like species that resemble emperor penguins, as Matthias calls on them. Yes, you are a Kanyanx, am I correct? What is your name and question? Matthias asks as the Kanyanx points its flipper at them. My name is Skyper, and I have a question for you, human. I hear your planet has frigid ice continents on it that my species actually enjoy, as well as polar waters in what is called the tropics. Would it be possible to maybe visit these places? Skeeper asks, as Matthias actually smiles and nods his head. As a matter of fact, it is entirely possible. During the time it took us, which according to your calendar is 6 stellar cycles, which to us humans we call months, we had built spaceports and teleportation stations to act as travel destinations, just in case we met a species early and wanted to invite them to Earth. We actually were going to invite the galaxy as a whole to please consider visiting Earth at least once, so that we may interact more personally. The stations are built and ready and only need permission for embassies to be built so that we can activate the teleportation arrays to allow quick travel between worlds. If the Kanyanx would like to visit, please don't hesitate to contact our homeworld and ask for visitation visas. Matthias says happily as Skyper turns to another Kanyanx next to him, who is holding a glass panel clipboard. A strange species makes itself known. An inorganic species, obviously having been crafted by something else. This species seems to have mostly human proportions, but digitized screens for faces. The robotic species actually have rather pleasant voices. We are the Niant. We of this platform are designated as Morgan. We wish to know about these reality-perceiving altering devices humans have. Morgan asks as Matthias smiles and brings up diagrams of video game consoles, computers, and virtual reality headsets. They're called VR systems, game consoles, and computers. Humans in the late 1960s and early 1970s actually created computers and such for technological advances, but old equipment was used to experiment, and some people turned old radar equipment into games they could play. It soon evolved as time went on to where actual coding and programs were created specifically to create these games to stimulate people's minds and let them relax and have fun. As technology got better, so did the programs used to create the video games. Consoles from the Odyssey to Pong to the Atari. Then more innovations creating computers, making things like the Commodore 64 and even the Nintendo Entertainment System. As time went on with these systems, graphics got better, stories got better, and soon enough games were being made that could be considered true works of art people wanted to go into. It created the concept of virtual reality. We take a system and instead of having it require a secondary apparatus to show what's on it, we create an enclosed system that covers the eyes completely to immerse ourselves in the virtually created universes we loved. It took forever for virtual reality to kick into full swing, but it is mostly to enjoy ourselves. If your species is mostly code-based, you all would probably really enjoy video games. I'm a very avid gamer and actually brought some consoles and a VR headset, Matthias says as he shows the very headset he was talking about, as many species actually wish to experience these things called games. We very much would enjoy visiting these games, as you call them. They seem interesting to explore and learn about, Morgan says as the machine's screened face shows it smiling. Scrizel takes the microphone away and begins speaking to the gathered species. As you all see, humans are very social and very vocal about many things. Watching them as we have was at first offensive when they found out, but they relented in the fact it was a needed precaution. We also updated our information on Earth, as everything we obtained from Voyager 1 was outdated or biased information. The updated information shows that I actually referred to the hippocampus in the brain, which regulates HGH and other chemicals as the adrenal gland. The humans have since corrected the data entries showing the proper adrenal gland is just beside the kidneys. The gravity of Earth is actually 9.84 meters per second squared. And the void bubble I discussed? Our visual equipment was being impaired due to fluctuations in the sun nestled inside our solar arch array. The Earth and its sun create a heliosphere, and that heliosphere is actually only 162 astronomical units in radius. The void bubble itself is well over 1,000 light-years across. The humans brought amended data just in case, but their researchers were fascinated as they knew Earth and its solar system were within the so-called local bubble, a giant void surrounded by thousands of young stars. And funny enough, they discovered that all nearby star-forming regions lay exactly on the local bubble's surface. Scrizel says as he turns to Matthias and asks him, "How did your people actually come across this information? It honestly boggles my species' minds, and we are considered to be the smartest of all the gathered species here, and we can neither understand nor begin to comprehend what went into understanding this," Scrizel says, wanting his question answered. "Oh, well, that's easy, really. We happened to stumble upon the answer and discovery by pure luck. You see, the research involved mapping 3 dimensions of space, 3 dimensions of motion, and a time dimension. With those, we were able to literally turn back the clock and see how these star-forming regions evolved over the past millennia. In contrast, most of our traditional understanding of stellar birth has been based on static 2D images of star-forming regions. Analyzing the motions of these young stars helped the scientists reconstruct the chain of events behind the creation and growth of the local bubble. They discovered that these stars were traveling mainly straight away from the bubble's surface, which suggested they were moving because the bubble was expanding over time. The researchers found that a series of about 15 catastrophic supernovae likely began taking place near the local bubble's center about 14 million years ago. The supernova explosions triggered a shock wave, and this expanding shock wave subsequently swept up a shell of dense, cool gas, that is, the surface of the local bubble, which has now collapsed to form thousands of new stars. A lot of stars are actually inside the bubble as well, but our solar system is unique as the closest star to us in the void bubble is Alpha Centauri, which is around 5 light-years away. Matthias speaks as Scrizel's eyes open wide in astonished horror at what is being told before he asks, Matthias, can I ask you how many neurons do human minds have? The ability to have this kind of advancement and progress of research and learning before reaching interstellar travel is unheard of, Scrizel says as Matthias just shrugs his shoulders. Well, when examining the dumbass bugs the Reaver species used as fodder and the Reaver species themselves, we discovered they only had a range of about maybe 200,000 to 789 million neurons. Humans, yeah, the difference between us showed because humans have well over 86 billion neurons. The gap was pretty fucking huge. We also were not shy about abusing that intelligence gap either because we're pretty sure we created a flame-throwing helicopter even physics is pissed off about. And if that doesn't get your dick hard, just wait until you see the giant 50 feet to 200 feet tall pilotable mechanized suits we created called Gundams. Man, those Reavers didn't know what to do when we whipped those bad boys at them. We're so glad the other species of our galaxy are much nicer, Matthias says as Scrizel and the rest of the collective species are silent at the news of what just got spoken. Well, as I have said many times to the Council, as you can see, humans are just built different. This shall conclude the meeting of species and the introduction of humanity. Now, who here votes humans be welcome to join this council with 7 chancellors and have 1 member of the High Council? Scrizel asks as every species speaks up as one. Aye, all species respond. All species opposed? Scrizel asks, hearing silence. All abstaining. Once again, Scrizel is met with silence as he turns his head towards Matthias and places a hand on his shoulder. Matthias, you are hereby as of this moment appointed as High Counselor of Earth and Humanity. This is not a decision the species make. It is one our council makes as per the data we sent to your people. You and your species are a welcomed addition to the galaxy at large. Please appoint the 7 chancellors of your species by planetary vote and just please don't squish us, Scrizel says as he walks with Matthias back to the elevator, making sure to bring Nika and Octane with him as they were appointed as High Counselors to replace the 2 elders who passed away a few stellar cycles ago, and it was no better time than now to reveal that to the 2.